At this time, we'll call to order the regular city council meeting for June 13th, 2022. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please let the roll call show all council members are present this evening. And we'll move on to the approval of minutes, May 23rd, 2022. Councilmember Kibble.
On page 2, the bottom of the downtown paragraph, it says, Kibble said it was denied, and it should have not just tabled after that, please. That's all I had. And I'd move the minutes if that's it.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Kibble, supported by Councilmember Kenny. Any further discussion on the minutes? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Approval of the bills this evening. Councilmember Kennedy.
Move the bills.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Approval of this evening's agenda. Councilmember Dill.
I'll move the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Our consent agenda this evening is rather loaded. We have Dorothy Street Block Party, Pumpkin Fest 2022 Downtown Road Closures, the 2022 Pumpkin Fest Parade, the Pumpkin Fest 5K Run, and Resolution 22-04, Resolution Establishing Policies and Guidelines for Granting Poverty Exemptions from Payment of Property Taxes. Councilmember Kurtzwell.
Thank you. I move the consent agenda as presented by the mayor.
I'll second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. At this time, we will open the floor for public comment. Please remember to state your name, and remember that we have a 2-minute time limit. Name and address, forgive me.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Department Heads. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Frank Fogarty, 61349 Roaring Brook Drive, South Lyon, Michigan. I'm here to give a brief update on the First Responders Memorial. Progress is being done by the ad hoc committee. Fundraising is going along. We currently have about $7,800 to go to the First Responders Memorial. We have a number of exciting things coming up. June 25th, they're going to have a First Responders Day at the Farmers Market with fire engines and games, etc. And people can buy challenge coins at that point in time, which are $25 a piece, either from the fire department or the police department. They can buy them. If they write a check, it should be made out to City Hall and specifically in the memo for that specific purpose. We have some other exciting events coming up. We're going to have a motorcycle ride. We've made some contacts with some major corporations. At our current next meeting, we're going to be talking to them with about major fundraising and how to recognize those donors, and we're setting possible recognition awards at $1,000, $5,000, and $10,000 because the interest in the corporate community is such that we can do that. And so we also have a Trifold that's going to be ready for distribution in a couple weeks, which will give the history of the monument, the challenge coins, etc., and they'll be distributed all around town, funeral homes, churches, what have you. We're pretty excited about the momentum that we're building at this point in time. So that with that, I just wanted to bring you up to date, and we hope everybody can contribute that wants to. This is not to the exclusion of the Veterans Memorial, which needs some prettying up. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Fogarty, for that update. That was great.
Hi, Kathy Swan, 44 Woodland Place. Besides Pumpkin Fest, I'm also here for Relay for Life on behalf of the American Cancer Society. We're having an event on August 20th from 12 to 3 at Church of Christ, which is across from Tim Hortons, and food trucks, a luminary walk. Cancer touches everybody's life in some form. It's sad, but everybody will be touched by it. So we're letting everyone know that the public is welcome August 20th from 12 to 3. See you at Pumpkin Fest.
Thank you. With that, we will close our public comment, and we'll move on to the discussion of downtown with our DDA Director, Nate Mack.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Council. The first thing I want to touch on was the farmers market. We're continuing to see strong numbers at the market every week so far. That we've had the market, we've had both lots. We've utilized both lots. Haven't had them completely full, but things are going well there. We're getting daily requests for new vendors that are wanting to come in, so things have been going quite well at the market this year. Last week, the DDA board met. During the meeting, myself and DDA Chair Derek Mashburn gave a presentation on the National Main Street Conference, and I'll just touch kind of briefly on what we learned there this evening because it ended up being a 45-minute presentation. I don't think people want to sit through that tonight. So we talked about various presentations that we went to. One was utilizing social media for economic development. There were 6 different tools they presented for us there. We learned about a 12-week fundraising program that Main Street communities had utilized. Also talked about taking charge of real estate development in our community, thinking like a developer and trying to put together pro formas and teams that we have in the community to try and push economic development through there. That was kind of the highlights, but continuing to move on. This afternoon, I actually met with other Main Street Oakland County communities to go over the presentations that we went to for the National Main Street Conference, and kind of the county reaching out to us saying, how can we help you implement some of the stuff that you learned in Richmond? So that was good. The property that formerly held Moe's Garage has gone up for sale. The parcel is listed on Zillow right now, so we'll see how that goes for them. And then the DDA Economic Vitality Committee, working with Oakland County, is going to be putting together sort of a retail list that of businesses we'd like to see in the downtown, utilizing data that Oakland County is able to provide through us through GIS systems. And then finally, 135 East Lake Street, which is the RCA building. It's looking like they're going to be seeking an extension to their abatement deadline. Unfortunately, they've just had a lot of issues with supply chains getting contractors either to come or not cancel and then come back. So they're still struggling for that. We're working with the building department to determine the length of the extension so that we don't have to come back again for another time. So that is it for me this evening.
All right, great. Thanks for the update. Nate, does anyone have anything for Nate? Councilmember Hanson, go ahead.
I was curious if there was any way that we could reach out to the county as far as some of the county roads that are in the city, especially, the downtown area, even down to, 9 Mile. As far as the cleanliness of the streets, if there's a way that they could send a street sweeper out to clean up some of the particulates and dirt that is amassed, especially near some of the sides of the street, just to clean it up a bit.
Get things looking better, yeah.
Yeah.
Can do that.
Anyone else have anything? All right, thanks for the update, Nate.
Thanks.
Rain might take care of it a little bit tonight.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the fire chief report.
Good evening.
Up to date, we've run 479 incidents. A couple of more interesting runs we've had recently. We responded to Lyon Township to assist in a residential fire, Northfield Township for a barn fire, and then most recently we just had a down power line primary on a dump truck with the driver still inside, so it was interesting. DTE did respond exceptionally fast though, and we were able to get him out pretty safely and quickly. Fire Inspector Mahoyan has done multiple plan reviews, site inspections, investigated a couple of complaints and one fire investigation. We've had another training session at our burn building, went really well, great participation, great experience. It's an invaluable tool, so thank you for that. We're in the process of bringing on a new firefighter. He's in a medical phase right now, going through Ascension. He's already got all of his certifications, which he's kind of a unicorn right now in the part-time fire service world. So he's got his paramedic, or I'm sorry, his firefighter 1 and 2 and his EMT. We just had 2 cadets graduate from the Howell Fire Academy, Charlize Stanley and Zoe Nochel. So they'll be a senior next year. They're going through the EMT class, but they can do a little more with us now. Our South Lyon firefighters worked with American Red Cross, who supplied smoke detectors, and they went door to door in South Lyon Woods and installed detectors, gave a little education on fire safety and winter and ice hazards. Our ladder truck is in progress. I believe I sent you guys some pictures to take a peek at. We're supposed to go June 16th up to Charlotte to visit Spartan and inspect the chassis and kind of see the progress ourselves. And a couple days ago, we just received 8 sets of turnout gear. They were awarded by Firehouse Subs grant in an amount of $23,704. And we've got one more grant out there, or we received one more grant for gear. We've got 10 sets coming with helmets and boots. That's around $30,000 through Washington area mutual aid association we're part of. So that's all I have.
Anyone else have anything for Chief tonight? Personally, I've been loving the updates on the training, whether it's on the Instagram or the Twitter or whatever. It's fun, and I think it might even help recruiting down the road.
That's my hope. We'll get our name out there a little more and see what we're doing. Yeah.
See those updates. So.
Thank you.
But if anyone else doesn't have anything for Chief, thanks, Chief, for the great update.
Thank you.
We'll move on to the Police Chief report. Yeah, I didn't know who they were going to throw at me, so I didn't say a name.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. So I'm stepping in for Chief Sovic today, so it's Lieutenant Baki, South Lyon Police. Just got a couple of things to talk about with you. Number one, we have started our interviews for our admin coordinator to replace our last one. We had 3 today, we'll have 2 tomorrow, so we have some pretty good candidates. So we're looking forward to finishing up and getting that spot filled. We're still looking for cadets. I think we had a couple of interviews last week, or 2 weeks ago, and we're still looking for some more applicants for that. We are also still have not had any information on our truck that we ordered. We ordered it back in November, and that has not, we haven't heard anything yet, and every time I call over there, it's always another 3 months. So we're still waiting on that. Hopefully it's coming in soon, and it's usually one of those things where they'll call you, it's coming the next day. Right. So I don't have any, didn't get any really good updates from it, but that's about it. And that's really what all I've got today.
Councilmember Kurtzwell, go ahead, and then I'll come over to you, Councilmember Kennedy.
I had a question on the interviews that are progressing with respect to the admin individual.
Yes.
Are you getting somebody pretty qualified, or are you going to have to do a lot of training?
Well, right now, we have a good pool of candidates. Okay. We do have some with a considerable amount of training already. We have a couple, but we still have 2 more to go tomorrow. I think that we have a good pool, so I'm pretty confident that we'll be able to get it filled pretty quick.
Now, do these candidates have law enforcement background?
Yes. So we look at individuals that are already trained in using our lean computers and our and our MICGIN and all these things that we need. And yes, they do have experience. they all have experience in working with the public, either private or in the private sector or in the public sector, but they're all pretty good candidates. So we are encouraged that some of them did come up and they do have prior experience at other departments.
Are we able to be competitive with wages?
It sounds like we are. We're right there with the benefits package as well. I think we're right there where we need to be with the wages and all. So, yeah, I think we're right there.
Because I would hate to see somebody who's out there wanting to leave their job because, for whatever reason, people leave jobs, and come to South Lyon. They may interview very well, have great credentials, but the pay isn't there, but they take the job just to land here until they really find the job that pays what they want. So that's why I want to make sure that we're being pretty competitive to keep somebody here for a period of time.
Sure, and with it's a union position, so with the progressive raises and that, we are competitive on that. The individuals that we spoke with so far, it seems like they want to be in this area, they want to work for the city and stay here, so like I said, we're real confident that they'll be happy once we pick that individual.
So if you needed to increase that wage in order to attract a really good candidate, are you saying that you would have to open up discussions with the union in order to do that?
Yeah, that would be up to Paul, the city manager, to go ahead and negotiate with the union to get those wages, correct.
So you really don't have a lot of flexibility then, is what you're saying?
Not right now, no. But looking at other positions where they're at as far as other municipalities, I think we're right there where we need to be. And like I said, I'm encouraged already, the individuals that we spoke with, they like the atmosphere here in South Lyon. They want to be around here, or they want to work for us, so that's a good thing. So I'm feeling pretty confident that we're okay with that at this time, so.
Was there any time during COVID in which that position went virtual, remote?
Yeah, so Brianne was at home for a few days out of the week. But when working that line of inside the police department, we have to be there. So we got to serve the public. They have to get their things. Now, like reports or anything like that, or make their complaints. But yes, she was able to work remote a couple of times a week when it was a little heavier in the COVID. But again, we want them right there with us because we've got records that they have to deal with. We've got other things that when they come in, we want to make sure that there's a person there at the front desk. So there's a lot of responsibility there. So we want them there.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Councilmember Kennedy, and then I'm coming to you, Councilmember Hanson.
So it was mentioned that we're a little light on the challenge coins, and we're expecting another shipment of those in. Are they going to show up before the 25th there, Doug?
Yeah, we got them. Yeah, they're in right now. We got them, I think, last week.
Great, okay.
And I think they're already starting to go.
Excellent. Good news, thanks.
Yep.
Councilmember Hanson, thanks for your patience.
So with the power outage that we had just earlier this week, I was checking social media, trying to post to social media about it, as well as to check for any updates. I pulled up the South Lyon Police Department Twitter, and the last post was back in 2019 regarding a power outage.
Oh, the Twitter?
Yeah,
Okay.
so I wasn't sure if there was any...
Is that, are you talking about the one for the fire department, the one that where the fire department went on, or?
No, just the South Lyon Police Twitter. And so I wasn't sure if there was any thought about... It's been resting.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of found it hilarious that the last post was about a power outage, but I almost retweeted it immediately thinking...
Yeah, no, I'm not too familiar with that one. We use Facebook and we use Nixle. So we put messages on Nixle and Facebook, and then once it backs, I'm getting used to that as well, so I'm trying to figure out Nixle's, so we'll put it out there, and then once it's back on, we go ahead and repost it.
Yeah, Nixle's great. I got the push notifications pretty quick, especially with, the power outage, so I just wasn't sure if that was...
No, I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. We'll take care of that.
Just one more.
Yeah, no.
No big deal.
I got it. Thanks. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Just out of curiosity, was the police department affected by that power outage?
No, it seemed like it was pretty isolated down in that region, and they had it up in about a half an hour. Once they were able to secure that driver out of the vehicle, they got it up pretty quick, because it was at the end, and it only really just, it was at the end of the grid, so it only kind of affected that corner, and it was up real quick.
I was just looking to see if the generator kicked on.
Well, and I get notifications because it tells me, because it tests itself, so I get notifications, so it is working.
Good enough, thanks.
Yeah, yep.
Anyone else have anything for Lieutenant Bakke this evening? All right, great update, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, we've got a jam-packed agenda this evening, so we're going to get started with the big one. Unfinished business number 1 this evening, road bond ballot proposal discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The city has been preparing information regarding the road ballot proposal. We are using several different methods of communication to educate the public and to get the word out on the road bond proposal, including the city website, which has the news feed where it lists the ballot proposal and frequently asked questions. There's a click-on tab regarding the road improvement plan that lists the road improvement plan, the PASER rating report, the ballot language, the road cross sections, as well as frequently asked questions. Additional information will be placed where residents can compute tax increases based on their taxable value based upon if this ballot proposal does get passed. City Hall has in numerous locations copies of the ballot proposal and display of the road core samples, which we have tonight within the back of our room, which identify current subdivision cores as an example of a proper road segment core, what it should look like. The utility bills were sent out in April with mention of the road improvement plan, and the July bill contains a note identifying the August 2nd primary election and ballot proposal on the road improvement plan. The city sign at McCaddy Park states the road ballot proposal, and tonight we're going to have a presentation by HRC on the road improvement program. This gives an overview of the current condition of the roads, planned improvements, charts and graphs, and additional information on the PASER rating of the city roads, and the ones that we plan to be worked on if the ballot proposal is approved. All of this information will be posted on the website and Facebook. We'll additionally be scheduling public informational meetings in the month of July. These meetings will be held as an open house at City Hall, one during the week in the late afternoon and evening, and one on Saturday morning in the early afternoon. Residents can come in and ask questions of the staff and engineers. The information presented tonight will be displayed at City Hall after the meeting, and I'll turn it over right now to representatives from HRC to go over all the information that we've prepared and to answer any questions that you may have.
Thanks, Paul. My name is Roland Alex. I'm one of the vice presidents at Helper Roth & Clark. With me tonight is Mike Darga, one of the associates. You know Mike well from 10 years plus with the city. And then I also have Josh Murphy here, who's a resident of the city, who you'll hear from it in a little bit. So just wanted, some of this will be, we'll go over what Paul has already spoken of. Some of this is things that have been presented in the past, and some of it is some new information. So apologize if you've seen some of these figures before, but again, we're trying to tell the whole story from the beginning, Genesis, through where we are now. So tonight's focus, you can probably read these, but I'll go through them anyways. We're going to review the August 2022 ballot proposal language. We'll introduce our resident road committee members, of which Josh is one of them. We'll talk a little bit about what we've done since that committee was formed earlier this year. We're going to, again, remind you and remind the residents as far as what your existing condition of your roads are, and unfortunately how poor they are. And then we'll talk about some conceptual plans as far as how we can spend the bond revenue monies plus your Act 51 monies, which is what you receive annually from gas tax. And then we'll talk about some next steps, which Paul had already mentioned, some public outreach programs. So as time flies, we've been talking about this. This almost made the ballot last year, but this has been a couple years in the works. We're really excited that it is on the August 2nd election. Again, we'd love to emphasize residents come out and vote. If you don't vote, you're not going to get what you want, so whether you're for it or against it, just please have your voice be heard. I know it's kind of an off year for elections, but this is a big thing for the city. Kind of the biggest thing that's highlighted here is that this has the opportunity opportunity to generate $18.5 million that will be earmarked for roads, only for roads. It cannot be stolen from. It won't go into general fund. This will be specific to city-owned roads. So I know there was always some concerns as far as we're going to get all this money, what's the guarantee that it's going to be put towards the roads? The ballot language is such that the city cannot move this money into other funds. It will only be used to improve the roads. As I alluded to, Paul had a great idea to institute a road resident committee. So we had put out on the website looking for people to volunteer their time. It can be a little boring listening to Paul and I talk about roads, but we did get 3 people, Joseph Freeman, Craig Johnston, and Josh Murphy, who's here tonight. I wanted to give Josh just a quick opportunity to talk about what we've done as a committee and maybe some of his thoughts from the resident side of this. So thanks, Josh, for being here tonight.
Good evening, everybody. Like I said, my name is Josh Murphy. A little bit about myself. I live up in the Trotters Point subdivision. Currently, I work as a flight instructor out of Ann Arbor, so teach people how to fly. So I commute in and out of the city almost every day on my way to work and home. And as we've kind of all known, the roads are not exactly in good condition. So I've seen this, and I went online one night. Don't remember exactly what for, but I saw that they were looking for members to help volunteer to improve our roads, and I was like, oh, sure, it sounds like a good way to learn more about my community and help give back to the community, so I was more than happy to, and it's actually been a pleasure to help serve and improve our roads, or hopefully help improve our roads if the ballot is passed. So a couple of things we've worked on in the road committee is we've come up with some of the frequently asked questions list, so we've helped answer that from the resident side. We've also helped verify and kind of back up their figures and their graphics so that it is something that we think that residents would be able to understand on kind of a layman's term. We've also been a part of setting up these public outreach events that are going to go in July, as Paul talked about. And we also have kind of come up with some of the reasons that we want to talk about at these outreach events. Things like hopefully that it is a taxable increase on our home value, but hopefully it will actually help increase our tax or the property value of houses and property around the city, along with reducing wear and tear on our vehicles as we drive over these roads. And I think that's pretty much all I got. Anything else?
Thanks, Josh. I appreciate that. The next slide is the 2020 PASER rating, and if everybody remembers, I'm going to flip forward real quick. PASER ratings, they rate roads between 1 and 10, 1 being poor, 10 being brand new. Back in 2020, we had staff members who have gone through training, who have become PASER rating experts, drive all of your roads, and these were the results of that. You can see there's a lot of red up there. Red is not good. It's bad, unfortunately. One thing to note is that the roads that are in black are privately owned roads, so those are subdivision roads that are owned and maintained by the neighborhood associations. And there was not a lot of not a lot of good or fair roads. I think it's very self-evident, and you can see some of the numbers there. The most striking one is the 95% of your roads are in poor condition, and that just speaks to, unfortunately, not funding roads. Mike and I were talking. I think the last major reconstruction was that block of Dorothea that you can see. I'll use my little pointer. If you can see, it's that little green block right there. That was done about 6 years ago. That's been the most recent major road reconstruction. You'll see some green up here. Those are a new residential subdivision that was just given to the city for control. But in general, most of your roads need serious help, and that's why we're here to help just educate the public about the bond process and the revenues that the bond can generate for the city. Again, I flipped to that earlier, but good, fair, poor, and unfortunately most of your roads are in that 1, 2, and 3, the poor section. This has been displayed a couple times. This was created as part of the 2020 PASER rating project, and we looked at what different funding levels could do. I'm going to use my little pointer. What different funding levels could do to the rating of your roads. So here's the scale of 0, which is a failed road, up to 2.5, your average road is at a 2.4 or 2.34, and this graph really extends all the way like Al Gore's CO2 thing, all the way up to the ceiling where it would go up to 10, but because you have so few roads up there, it's not quite as visually stunning as it should be, because your y-axis should go all the way up to 10. And then we looked at some different funding levels. So if you did the do-nothing approach, which is what your city and a lot of cities have done, just because road funding is difficult to get funded, your roads will continue to deteriorate at a